working on
All right,
a
so we are
name, which
going,
is bad.
and we'll just fade that in, and then we should be live for the world right now. So, hello and welcome to yet another interesting episode of Game All Night. We kind of decided to take the month off. And when I say we, I meant me.
It's an important time of year for you. You are hardly relaxing, but once we hit winter, there's other stuff.
There is.
Afoot.
There is. Quite literally, it's going to be interesting. It also gives us a little time to kind of stand back, do a little bit of a retool and stuff. But we'll go into that as we go on. So, I mean, we'll say hi to everybody out there who's watching. Might be 1, might be 20, not sure yet. But feel free to comment in the chat. We will see it. Yes, Lake, we are taking off. Well, it's going to feel a little bit less, but just taking off like 3 weeks of recording, actually. So we're going to basically try and we're going to do this live thing, kind of recap our year. We're going to play a game while we do it and see what happens.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it'll just be kind of a fun way to fill the air and kind of clue you into what's happening around the show and things like that.
And we get to play a game, I get to drink, and we get to talk about board games and the year that was. It's all
and you don't have to go to work tomorrow.
That's going to make it that much better.
I know. So that's pretty much the extent of it. So what we have set up in front of us, this is Drop It by Cosmos. Pick this up at PAX, and I believe these are backwards already. Wow, we're off to a great start here. Basically, this is kind of Connect 4 meets Tetris, all kind of rolled up in one. So it's definitely kind of fun. We're going to be dropping bits in there, and I'll kind of explain how that goes in a few. Actually, we usually are in the same room when we record. So it's kind of it looks like it's a little tricky and deceptive on the cameras, but it's not quite that crazy. Dan records in the bar that's behind me, and I record in the studio that I co-opted not too long ago.
Yeah, we've had guests comment the same thing, that they're under the impression that there's movie magic afoot when we're talking to each other, and the reality is that no, we can actually hear each other.
There's no magic, is what you're saying. But yeah, it's exactly right. Like I think it's best for us to kind of have that in the room banter and stuff that we can kind of go back and forth with and have some fun with. I'm going to be probably playing with the pad here. This is where I'm seeing y'all's comments or yens, depending on which side of the state you're from. Feel free to share the link, whatever you want to do. That's all cool. But no, basically we switch everything live, so you'll see us do that as well. I might actually make my life a little easier and go full on. Since y'all can't see the magic, there's a curtain here. Pretend it's there.
The DM screen.
It is totally the DM screen.
Hiding your...
I should get one of those. Then
Oh, yeah, that would be...
All right. So, do you want me to explain this
I
game?
have no idea what we're doing, so if you do not, you're going to have a certain advantage.
Well, yeah. So, Drop It is, like I said, it's a pretty unique game. You're going to be playing, since we're playing two-player, you're going to be playing both colors that you have in front of you. And essentially what we're going to do is you're going to drop them in here, as the name would suggest. Big surprise. Like, I know, it's scary to think that this would be the case. All right? Now, if it were only that simple, there are some rules, okay? And a decent amount of them, believe it or not. Number one is that the two cardinal rules, the same color and the same shape, can't touch each other. If they do, you score no points. So that'll be a wasted turn if you do that. Okay, so as you're dropping things, just be aware. Square can't touch square, and that's even like a corner touch. It's a touch.
And that's just is that just mine or
Nope.
I guess once I understand how the scoring works, it'll all
No,
make
they're
sense.
they're everybody's.
Okay, so if my square touches your square, neither of us will score.
No, you won't because it's scored at the time of the drop.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
So you will have already scored for your square, so I will be. I got you. Okay.
Exactly.
I'm
All
with
right.
you now.
The other restriction here is that you see along the bottom here, there are shapes listed. So it's triangle, parallelogram, circle, and square. All right. So these guys down here, that shape can't touch this zone. If it touches that zone, it doesn't count.
And that's described.
No,
a full
just on the
vertical
bottom.
zone. Oh, okay. Got
Just
it.
on the bottom. Thank God. However, the color restriction goes up the side, so you also have a color restriction. And again, only if it's touching.
Got it.
Okay?
Got it.
So
it's not to say that this whole zone is no green. It's just that green can't bump that.
yeah.
That
Which
left,
sounds like, oh,
stage left side.
it doesn't sound like it's that big of a deal, but once you start playing, you're going to realize it's kind of annoying, actually.
And we're adding up a significant number of restrictions here. So
Yes.
see how they.
All right. So the actual gameplay, you're going to drop a circle, square, parallelogram, or rhombus, triangle. All right. And its highest point will be where it scores. Okay. So if it breaks the line, it scores the number above. So if you get it above this line here, looking down here, it just makes it over. You get 7 points to start.
Okay.
All right. The bonuses come in the form of these circles. The large is 1, 2, and 3 points for large, medium, and small.
If you're touching that circle.
Yeah, if any point of your bit is in there,
Okay.
and then it doesn't matter after that what happens as far as bits go. So, like if other bits will fall, they'll move around. Once it's scored, and that's what our track here's for, and our bits, and then of course we have our plus 20, plus 50 to help us keep track of that.
If
which
we
put
somehow manage to lap this multiple times.
Yeah, you know what? It starts really slow with like onesie twosies, but I figure what we can do is we can kind of maybe do a round. We can play all the colors. Like we can start maybe blue, green, yellow, red, just to keep things easy here, and then we can kind of take a point and talk a little bit about the show
Sure thing.
in between.
I might even have the mental capacity to discuss while I'm dropping, but I appreciate you looking out for me.
Well, I just kind of figure it's, so and this kind of comes back to one of the things for the future is I think some of the best fun we've had on the show is when we've actually been physically gaming. Like the evening with Berkey that we gamed was very enjoyable with Matt as well.
Yep.
With Glenn on the show, it's just there's kind of a nice conversation that can happen around a game that doesn't require a ton of thought. So I kind of thought that this would be a nice little
No,
thing.
I think it's brilliant. I mean, this is what we like about board gaming, isn't it? Is in part the chat around a board game. Though it is amazing too how I can sit for 3 hours with folks in an evening, and we're playing heavy games, and I realize that we've gone the whole time and not caught up at all. I've had basically no conversation.
Right, because you're just sitting there stressing the whole time. Oh no, I know.
So drop it. Hopefully, will not produce that kind of.
Excellent. I'd also like to point out that this is the first time Joe Public, outside of my Twitter stream, is seeing us play on the brand spanking new game topper here, provided by Mr. Berkey himself. Hand delivered. I mean, come on. How often do you get that? Unless you live in Minnesota. So, absolutely. So, take it easy, Lake. We'll see you around. So, we could play to an empty
thanks
room.
for joining us, Lake. That's okay. There are always lurkers too. There's always
always some kind of stalker out there. All right. I'm sure if Gil doesn't show up, I'd be surprised because he stalks me regularly. All right. So
start us off here.
All right.
You've got a blue drop. Make it happen.
Blue drop. So what I'm really paying attention to.
What the strategy is for early pieces.
I'd argue that I don't really know. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you at home, I record in the basement with my friend here. My wife is upstairs, 2 rooms over. And I just heard her rip a belch.
You're gonna sell her out?
I'm gonna totally, dude. I love her for it. I couldn't let that go. I'm sitting here smirking. I'm like, damn, good one.
Twas indeed.
All right, so I'm just gonna get us started.
Starting out small potatoes.
Small potatoes. Potatoes.
That's a clear 1-pointer there.
That is exactly what that is.
It's a legal drop. Let's see if we can go over here. Right. Right into the dead zone. It ricocheted off. See, all the strategy in the world sabotaged.
What's really funny is you can watch the instant replay on your.
No, I don't care to. I don't need to see that twice.
Are you sure you don't want to watch that? I think it was quite nice. So just remember to alternate colors as we go.
I appreciate, by the way, that I have
the Christmas
unplanned here that you have it matching my my KOTOR. Look at that! That's impossible to believe that happened. So you get the bonus 2, I think.
I do.
So 2 for being the 2 zone plus 2 for a total of
4 points, right. And I have 1 from the last one.
Oh yeah, good. All right.
Although
splendid.
So I will apologize right now at home if I score this wrong. In the end, we add both the scores together, but you're supposed to do them independently so you don't lose track. Yeah, so
that's just going to confuse me. I bet I moved the wrong color.
As long as you move red or green, it's not going to matter
at the same time. All right. Let's actually go inside the shell here and try to accomplish nothing.
All right, well, no, you got a point.
But it is a point. There we go. Red is on the board. Doing better than green.
Absolutely. So, all right. So I kind of figure, we're using this as a loose guise just to kind of review the year, talk about what's coming next year and stuff like that. And I kind of stole doing the game in the middle from Rodney and Pep when they do their little chitty chats. Yeah. They kind of do this thing, and I love it. So a good vehicle for chatter in any event. So 2018. Let's start with games. What was your favorite game of this year?
It's a bold place to start, knowing as you do that I am not one to stay on top of making sure new releases get played.
So new to you?
No. I can actually do in this case. Okay. So while it can be dangerous to try to talk like
right.
Best of lists, and I would be hard pressed to compile a top 10 of 2018, but I can do. There is a new game from 2018 that I think is a clear winner for me, and it's a predictable one though. That's Keyforge.
Keyforge? Oh, so you've gotten to play it?
Yeah, quite a bit.
And what do you think? What do you think of these?
Well, first, have you played Keyforge?
I have not, but. Okay. But that kind of goes in with a don't really play a lot of card-only games.
Yeah, we discussed that you want a little more. You want some wood. You want some bits.
I generally like to shuffle things around and build things. Like I like them as a component, and oddly, now it's been a long time since I've played Dominion. But like a deck builder seems to work. But it's not my like. If I had to choose my top 10 styles of gameplay, it's not going to be up
Pure
there.
Card games are not. Yeah. And whereas, so my background is, big in card games generally,
right?
Like, even traditional. Like I'm a French deck, poker deck, card game nut too. Like I love cribbage is a huge favorite. I love a lot of traditional card games. That aside. Many years as a Magic player too. Mm-hmm. So 2-player dueling card games is part of my gaming roots. And the general board game community, like the other folks that we play board games with at game nights, by and large, reporting for duty.
Sorry.
So the hobby game community at large has not embraced the 2-player dueling games. To a large extent, in my experience. Yeah. They tend to form their own niche. Like, there are folks who play on everything and also play Netrunner, but if you bust out Netrunner at a general game night, you're going to get a lot of, lifestyle games are not for everyone.
Right. Now, do you think part of that's because I think part of the reason for the popularity resurgence in board games and the reason it's climbing the way it is because we're craving the multiplayer interaction between people, not just getting yelled at by a 14-year-old over a Discord channel.
Well, so you've captured there some of what
So people don't
some of the community elements that are popularized or perceived around.
And you don't get that if it's just two-player doing it, right?
Sure. There's some of that. So Keyforge, simply by being a two-player dueling card game that has been embraced thus far by folks who aren't normally into that scene, is already going to be a winner for me. Okay. It had it easy because that's enough right off the ground. In addition to that, turns out it's a great game. I'm really enjoying the way it plays. Very unlike Magic in a lot of ways, but it's been a huge hit.
Well, if this ends up being something we do periodically, because one of the things we're setting up an overhead camera so that we could potentially play a game or two. Like, that could be something we could completely just kind of sit here and play and do. I think that could be a lot of fun.
It would be a little challenge to chat through the thinky turns that it tends to produce. But that said, I have babbled on at length about my game of 2018. What was do you have a short list? Do you have a pick? Do you have a...
It's been an interesting year because my purchasing has been cut by like 80% this year. Like it coincided with a slowdown in buying that was already underway. The reorienting of the money that was being spent in the hobby to being spent towards this endeavor, right? Because cameras ain't free. So that whole, that coincided with me not getting a ton of new stuff. Like, I used to get like at least a game a week.
Yeah.
And I've really slowed down, which is good because what it's done is it's allowed me to really kind of sit back and I'm a lot more choosy about what I get now. Highlight of the year is it's not my game of the year because it already was a game, is Endeavor. I was ecstatic to finally get that back. I was anxiously awaiting it, so that was kind of my highlight of the year. I like Brass well enough, but not enough to go buy another copy and play it. So that one kind of snuck off the radar.
I'm a huge Brass fan.
Yeah, I do enjoy it,
and need to play Birmingham as a result to see how.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm fine to play it. I don't need to play it this minute on, 2 brand new copies. So that one kind of, while I think it's gorgeous, I've seen it played, it's not one that always jumps out at me. But that's kind of Martin Wallace in general for me. I like him, but I struggle. It's a hard relationship because, he beats me down a lot. I'm not saying he beats me, but he definitely,
there's an element of abuse in the relationship.
A lot of negative reinforcements there. Yeah.
I suspect this is a place you're not with me on, but I gotta say, this is in relation to Endeavor and Brass getting these lovely new versions, new editions, and in the case of Brass, sort of a infamously unattractive game. Like, Brass is a little rough. Like,
utilitarian.
So, and I think this is a thing that T.C. Petty maybe made me more aware of in a discussion he had on All Stars one time. But I think I prefer, at least to some extent, like those versions of it. The new Brass is beautiful, and I find it less appealing to some extent. Like, there's something,
some of that charm.
Yeah, there is a charm to these rough-hewn sort of things. It's like liking some of my bands back when they were young and raw before they got better at producing their sounds.
It's a very hipster way of thinking, which explains why TC likes it. But yeah, I get that. And it's funny because there are points when I'm playing the new version of Endeavor, and they kind of did a thing where they were very true to the original art. But even something is, yeah, the new boards are gorgeous. They're big, but they're gorgeous. But I found myself kind of just missing the old one a little bit, and the small buildings and things like those little things that you've come to love and cherish about a game that not everybody liked. You know, Puerto Rico, same thing, right? Sure. You know, aside from the few people who have the and I wouldn't say gorgeous edition. I mean, it was a
deluxe.
Yeah, it was better. I mean, the art was nicer. The chipboard was thicker. I mean, it was definitely a nicer version. The coins were okay. They were just they're early metal coins at the time, so it was nice. But you know, I never felt anything different playing my $20 Barnes and Noble copy. You know, that I didn't feel playing the nice one. Okay, and I'm a guy who will go, and if I love a game, I will bling the daylights out of it.
Indeed.
And I found myself, I did a print and play of it, and I got halfway through the build and I stopped.
Interesting.
So because I got to that point where I'm like, you know what, do I really need this? And I definitely didn't have the time, so it just kind of.
So that's a factor. And see, the thing is I think there are some games that gain a lot from beauty. Everdell is a beautiful game, and even a little more so in the collector's edition version, and I appreciate that.
Right.
The aesthetic it's bringing matches the game it's bringing. Like, its whole presentation hinges to some extent
that's
on that beauty.
On. Yep.
Brass is a game about, you know, selling cotton and shipping it via canals, and there's something incongruous about it being beautiful.
Right.
It's a more perfect marriage when that game's a little, you know, industrial's not quite the right feel, but there's something
a little less fine.
Yeah. It doesn't want for beauty. It doesn't need it.
So favorite games of the year, coming back full circle.
Besides Endeavor.
Yeah. I mean that's the strong honorable mention. And that's why I wouldn't go for it right now. I'm still really in love with both Coimbra and Teotihuacan. I've only been through Teotihuacan twice, but I'm really liking it. But it's no surprise, okay? These are, you know, two groups of my favorite designers. Marco Polo still sees a ton of play in our house.
Gotcha. And
Tzolk'in was one of the original, like, the first dozen games I bought, Tzolk'in was in there. Because that's right when I got into gaming and the Gears just blew me away. So, you know, I've always loved that, the passage of time and all that stuff. So
I don't know if I've ever seen it. I am sure your copy of Tzolk'in is customized. I'm sure you've painted up those wheels. I don't know if I've seen it.
I'm
a big Tzolk'in fan. So
I painted up the wheels. I also painted 3 sets of wheels total. I did my copy. I did one for our friend who runs the game store, and then I did another copy for some guy on Board Game Geek who his board got damaged, and so I told him to send me his old wheels, and I would paint them and send them back to him because I was kind of in that. I don't know. It was just kind of a weird spot where I wanted to do something fun for somebody.
Yeah, cool.
So that was so I painted 3. I love them. It's still one of my favorites to kind of get out and chunk around and play with. So yeah, it has an insert and it's painted, and you know, I break out the Stonemaier bits when we play, and I have the corn from Meeple Source, and I bought these little. I mean, it annoys me now because they're like little tiki statues that replace the drums for your workers, but obviously they're Polynesian tikis used in an Aztec game, so there's that appropriation thing happening there, but they're much better than the little drums in any event. So until they give me little Easter Island guys or little Jaguars that I can move around, it's not happening. So
gotcha.
Awesome. So let's do another round. So
do it.
All right, so
we're back
round
to
of
blue.
So blue, we don't like that side right now, so we're gonna stay away.
I have yet to play Teotihuacan too. I have to. Ooh, that looked so promising. You got to get the bonus.
Yeah.
You did get the bonus.
Nope, but I didn't because I'm hitting the...
Oh, indeed.
Yep. I was hoping that would sit on top, and it did not. So.
All right. I feel like...
You got to pay attention.
I have problems because I need to not touch my own square here, if I'm understanding that correctly. And I need to not touch this green section here. And I can't touch... Oh, frankly, you lost 0 points twice because you're also touching the double rhombus. So this is...
Every now and then, like, you kind of forget.
There's a lot of ways this could fail.
Welcome to my life.
All right. That did sit in there, though. So... 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, exactly. Well done, sir.
You'd think simple math would be within my bailiwick. Everybody else. So I have played Coimbra. I have not played Teotihuacan. There were multiple days during PAX Unplugged where it was threatened or bandied about, but the session never happened. It was averted on multiple occasions. So I look
that's
forward
right.
to trying it.
Autocorrect wanted me to teach you how to play Drop Out. And I'm like,
son, I already know.
Yes. So, sorry, I'm trying to make sure if you're in the chat room, you have company. Yeah, it's a. I want to say it's a bit of a tough teach, because there is a lot going on. Booyah! So that's 4 points.
I did get a little of that circle.
Did.
Those circles could be.
It only takes enough. I mean,
it could be a little more visible once they start getting pieces in them. They disappear.
Well, it doesn't help that we have this nice
red.
busy pattern sitting behind it or anything.
Red. This is actually tricky because there are.
So for those of you interested, I am drinking a beer bourbon Manhattan.
Very nice.
Yeah. What did you?
I've had the beer bourbon straight. How does it work as a Manhattan?
I like it. So here's a little thing. If I find a bourbon too hot, it's not really a sipping bourbon for me. I go the Manhattan road. And then either depending, like if it's Maker's Mark, I tend to go more dry because Maker's Mark's already sweet. I don't, Woodford is another one that falls in that category. So I can kind of balance that out. I can add bitters. I have I have a whopping 3 types of bitters, which, to me is a lot. But to friends and family who have, would you like some bitters? They really kind of bring some fun stuff. I have a smoky one. This one has my orange. I keep going back to the orange. Although he mixed the smoke and the orange at PAX, and it was rather tasty.
That was a good combo.
It was really good. It needs the right bourbon, though.
I can believe that as well. So. All right, let's go with circle here because there's too many ways that the squares and rhombus. I guess a triangle could work too. A triangle would make a strong move here. I can go with a triangle here and see if we can get this.
And then, of course, we're also drinking, and I made some Game All Night glasses. I was inspired by Bernard Puffinslayer. We have merch.
We have our lovely logo here, and I have it hidden off camera.
You know what? If there is anybody in chat, this is what I'll give away. I'll give away one of these tonight. How's that?
What's the nature of this giveaway? What's the like add some structure here?
I just want to see comments. I just want to see people chat.
Anyone who we see active in chat during this session,
yeah, so
they're entered in a drawing?
Yep, so either they use the hashtag GAN2018 for Game All Night 2018, or if they use they chat in the YouTubes, we'll put all the names together and we'll draw one at the end. So, yeah, if you're watching, we'll announce that a few more times. I don't think we're going to go too late, guys. I think we're trying to shoot for about like an hour or so here.
We need to get chatting.
We've done one question, so that might not work. So we each have 2, so it's time. So, what was your favorite gaming experience of this year?
Well, you're letting me take the first shot here, so
therefore
I get to call PAX Unplugged in that case.
That's fair.
That
wasn't a gaming experience for me.
That's a fair point. It's game adjacent. Is that what So yeah, that's the beauty of that. Any convention is a lot of fun. PAX Unplugged is when the gaming world comes to us here in the Philly area.
It is.
So I commute in on a daily basis. I'm in my own bed each night at PAX Unplugged. We're close enough. And it's a chance to see everyone that we talk to throughout the year. It's a chance to play a ton of games.
Absolutely.
So I had a grand time at PAX Unplugged and could not gush enough.
Yeah, I really, I was astounded. So despite popular opinion, I enjoy the Dice Tower. I watch it. It's with a critical eye, and I know that we don't see eye to eye on everything, and that's fine because I like to curse, I like to drink, and I don't want to not do that stuff. So I was gonna say Tom Vassell actually named spoilers, by the way. PAX Unplugged his favorite show of the year, his favorite gaming event. Which kind of blew me away.
This is a gentleman who goes to some gaming events. This is multiple Dice Tower events on top of everything else.
It's really Hi David. You can totally stalk the basement. It's a walkout, so you can certainly come stalk. I think that's the other thing we're going to kind of talk about this year when we get to that point is I want to open up the audience of one, as it were, a little bit this year and try and encourage people to come to show tapings, as they won't be as hectic and as I don't want to say stressful because that's not the word I'm looking for. They're very involved days for us. So it's especially if we have back-to-back ones and things like that. So I'd like to get people in. If we're doing one every week or every other week, I think we can start to get things a little more regular. So
it'd be a lot of fun. A lot of fun to have someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a guest.
Absolutely. And it'd be nice to have somebody in the studio, as it were. But anyway, getting back to my favorite experience, I guess, because PAX is the obvious one. That was phenomenal.
It was a
Sunday night playing 18xx in the middle of the lobby at like 1:30 in the morning of the hotel.
I did not realize that happened.
Yeah, it was interesting and it was a lot of fun and I loved it. For me, it's two parts. Number one is I really loved Origins for the experience. It was a good gaming experience. I didn't game a ton. Because we didn't really have a chance. But it was the whole event. It was meeting fans of the show for the first time outside of our own little circles and things. It's like I go to our little local game events and I'm hoping that like, oh my God, is somebody going to recognize me? I'm like, is that going to be cool or is that going to freak me out? Like guess what? I haven't had to worry about that yet. So that being said, Origins was awesome for that. I expected it at PAX, and it did happen a few times. But Origins, I travel halfway across the country, and I meet awesome people like the Detmers. The Detmers were amazing to meet in person. And, I kind of instant friends, where are you? What can we play now? Playing the Mind with it. They showed us this game at Origins, and we couldn't even buy it there because they were sold out. So this has fond memories for me. Also meeting Tim Verning. He's Tim's kind of crazy in the best of ways. He hands everybody stickers. He was fun. That was sitting down with Berkey, and it was just a great dinner. And it's funny if you're on the outside looking in. It feels like name dropping when you start talking about people like this, but then you start to realize no, we're just normal people. I certainly am. With the amount of fandom we have at this point after 1 year, it's to be expected, right? But even like the other people, like the Chaz Marlers and the Berkeys and people are really well known. It's pretty awesome to just go hang out, and that reason right there is why this show exists, because I wanted more of an excuse to talk to these people.
Well, and to level it, when you go to a convention.
Patrick's on.
Hello, Patrick.
Hey, the obligatory fourth member.
He is indeed.
He is. Patrick, I have some exciting news. And maybe I'll debut it. I probably can. I actually added Patrick to the intro.
I have not. I have yet to see this.
Yes,
so
yes. He I popped him in, and I used the little graphic I made, and he just kind of wings by on the neighborhood trolley from Mr. Rogers, ding, ding. But he's there.
Very cool.
He doesn't do a ding ding yet, but it's possible.
So the to your point, at these conventions, everyone is accessible. Like
they might be busy and running, but they're accessible.
Right, it's very true. A lot of folks are too occupied to have to sit down and play a 2-hour game with you. That's true. But anyone that you wanted to meet who attends, in advance, is going to a PAX Unplugged or Origins, you absolutely will be able to shake their hand and have a word. It is a beautiful thing about the community that things are like that. And everyone and love is going to be there. Yeah,
and if anybody cares, I'm going to go to the Secret Cabal meetup on Sunday. They do the Christmas meetup, so I'm going to go to that. I was going to try and organize like a gaming white elephant last minute. I might still try and do that. Just grab a game off your shelf you don't want and bring it, and then just do an exchange.
The worse the better. Is that how this might? Well, that tends to be the theme of my white elephants. Yeah, is that you give...
Let's go with a medium gray elephant. I don't want the person who shows up with his collector's copy of something he doesn't like anymore getting for the win or something horrible.
All right, so why do you take your turn while I serve as bartender here and
oh my god,
my own drink
and
yours
bartender?
As well.
All right. So for
hopefully your request is for something on the rocks, and then I can handle
it. Yeah, that's fine. Let's just do some of that Scottish stuff on the rocks is fine. So for those of you playing along at home, I kind of wish you were here to. Oh, yeah. Dang it! I always forget what shapes are below. Oh well. It was going to be an awesome 6 points, but it's touching that one. Yeah. Maybe that's why you shouldn't play this game with huge gaps of time in between. So
because of all the strategic depth it loses.
So Dan and I are kind of reviewing. So Dan's favorite game of this year. What did you say it was? I'm sorry. Keyforge. That's right. It's already instantly forgettable, except for the horrible names that I never saw any of. For me, it's a tie between Teotihuacan and Coimbra. Kind of. Jury's still out. Right now it's leaning on Teotihuacan, but I don't want to really say it.
You gotta commit. You gotta go with it.
Yeah, you do. Right now I would argue that's the lead. Green for you. We're also doing a giveaway tonight. Anybody who comments in chat, so Patrick, David, Blake, you guys are all entered. I'm gonna give away so I learned how to etch glass. So it's much to thanks of Puffin Slayer Bernard Donahue.
Am I touching?
No, you are not.
There is a I don't know if the camera is high def enough to pick up the sliver of air that is somehow saving me from.
It's enough. It's enough. So well done. So 3 good points. So the thought is that I will give one of these away to somebody who comments or chats in the chatter box there. Oh, so yeah,
that's not disqualified.
He's sharking. No, I have to check. So we're taking a cue from Rodney and Pep and playing a little game while we chat. Talking about 2018, what it meant for the show. So speaking of, start thinking about what do you the next one is
again by some miracle there's a less than an eighth of an inch separating that from disqualification, and
yep, but yeah,
I don't get any bonus, but I do get a
solid 2 points,
a basic 2 there.
So let's move on to the show. So what were some of your what was your and we have a few moments, but what was your favorite moment about the show this year? Like, we're gonna go into some details, but like overall, general best guest, or what was the?
Well, I'll cheat because I don't know with the wide open favorite moment or best moment of the whole of the year.
I'm just trying to be generic. I don't want top 10.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and cheat though and say that joining the show this year was my favorite moment here.
Me too.
I bet.
No, I think...
but getting to come on and debut. I believe you even booked a double recording for my very first night of recording.
That's how I did. That's how I rolled back then. But you've pretty much made with what, 2 exceptions total, 2 or 1?
In terms of shows I've been on.
And that's only
there have been a few.
And that's only because if that ever happens, it's not Dan's fault. Because normally we record on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. is our standard slot, and every now and then a guest, they might be in the biz and work normal hours and keep regular hours for their normal life, so we don't record with them, or we need to do a weekend like Carla needed. She needed a Sunday night, and Dan is the family man. I am a dink, so I don't need to block off my time as much, so I give Dan the leeway on that. So if he's ever not here, it's usually my fault, not his. It's either short notice, can't do it, or it's because the scheduling just is absolutely horrible. So I would agree. That was I was really happy when you said yes and came on board with the show, because it was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie. It was very difficult when we were trying to figure out exactly what we were gonna do. When I say we, it's you're making this hard. Nah.
We're back to green here.
Yeah. It might get a little punny in here, David. I think that's entirely possible.
This makes this safe.
But Dan joined the show because I had wanted somebody in the actual studio to do.
Nope.
So close, just touching the green square. It gets harder as you get up there because you're like not sure what you can drop, and oh, that's like a triple threat. I'm hitting there. Totally didn't do what I expected.
Yeah, it moves more than you think it would.
Absolutely.
Is the other thing. Your pieces are heavy and they hit hard and change the landscape.
And then you get the little circles that just kind of bounce all over.
Yeah, actually, it might be a circle time too.
But Dan and I met only at a handful of game days throughout the process of the last few years. We had a common friend, and when I asked him, I'm like, who might be a good person for the show? And he threw out a few names, and Dan was one of them. And I'm kind of like, maybe. So I met with a few, and Dan and I just kind of were different enough. And I think, our styles and what we like and what we find enjoyable about games, that you need that. I don't need a yes man. Like, it's why, it's hard to record. Like, I watch shows, people with your, with their wives and stuff. It's hard because, it's just difficult. I heard the best quote at PAX. And it's nobody wants to hear a couple fight, and nobody wants to hear constant agreement. So it's kind of like it's hard. Like and that's whether you're married or not. If you're a couple, and it's awkward. So I was looking for somebody who had some different taste and could bring something different. And you certainly did. So I would argue that was awesome.
You can go ahead and name a different best moment, though. I appreciate that. I stole yours.
No, I was. And Patrick was unavailable, and nope,
not gonna happen.
Dang it. No, I would. So worst part, I wrote the questions, and I didn't necessarily think of any of the answers prior. Not bad. It's worth 3.
I'll take it.
The best moment, I think, This one's hard. A little bit of dead air. I would just argue it was when, for me, it's when I go to book and I start asking people to be on the show. And I get a lot of positives back. And it's like, I always get stressed out. Like, I need to book the show. We don't have anybody coming up. And the next thing you know, we have like 5 people booked solid. And it's a constant yes. So I would argue that my favorite moment about the show is when the people who are on it say that they love being on it and they love the show. That's it in a nutshell. And you pointed that out to me, actually, because we in our little meeting that we had to kind of go over the year and kind of plan ahead for what was to come. One of the things we talked about was, well, how do we measure success? And for me, success is that the show's appreciated, people like it, and that it lets me talk to fun people. And that it pays for itself. That's like literally the only goal. So like, it doesn't put a huge dent in any kind of my lifestyle. I don't care, but it's proven to be that. I love. No, I'm not gonna do it. This isn't gonna work. Nope.
Slid.
I knew
Rolled right on over. All
right. More tender moments. I don't know, Patrick. I don't know if we can. I don't think we can handle anything more tender. I'm not gonna run across the store to hug Dan.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's 5.
It's peeking into 5.
It is. Man, Blue is stinking.
Yeah, Blue has had a rough one of it. Rough go.
It has. It has. But I think it's about to come into its own.
Oh yeah, here's points for Blue.
Maybe. It's got danger on both sides.
Oh yeah, I see how it could end. Oh, perfect balance. That's unreal.
All right, so that's 7.
7, I believe.
So funniest moment.
Do you want to go first? I've gotten first
Go
shot on all of these.
Bartender, nice. I will.
see, and we thought we were setting Patrick up with too much pressure when we started setting the expectation that there would be puns, but have no fear.
I kind of wish we could have the that's safe.
6.
That's safe. Let's see. David wants to know. So David's local to us, by the way.
I did not know that.
No, I met David at the Secret Cabal game night one night because I trip out there every other month or so, and he basically lives out towards Nick.
Okay.
Out that direction towards one of our friends.
We don't need to get too detailed on
exactly
someone else's identifying information, but
oh no.
Oh, look at that. It actually sealed itself away. But
nope.
It's not scoring any points for you. But
no, but it is. It's not touching there.
How is... Oh, you are right. talk about some of my, hair's breadth. But it's a true story.
That's like half a millimeter. So that's a good 6 points for yellow.
True story.
But he...
shocking.
So I met him, and he lives out that way. And, so he's relatively local. So he wants to know about our day jobs. So, well, I'll go first while you're thinking of your move.
Sure, and you're going to also deliver on a funniest moment before we get too far. But yes,
yes. We'll get there.
There's no way. There's no way.
That's not well. So, I've been a chef and a restaurant manager since the 90s. I'm not going to date myself much further than that. And then recently, I've made a jump into corporate training and corporate chef work for a national chain that's actually a lot of fun. So I get to design menus. I get to make video. I was making videos today. I get to do photography. I get to teach and train and travel and open stores and things like that. Sorry, David, if that's somebody else. It's possible. It's possible. You always comment in any event, so I feel like I know you, and I may as well have met you. So I love it. It's a lot of fun. But it's barely been a year doing that. but it's pretty new for me. So, what about you, sir?
Less exciting than the virtual bartending gig that I pretend that I play on TV.
And so that you do.
I'm a programmer. What do you for a healthcare firm? .NET C#.
Okay,
is the answer. If we're talking
I think
technologies, but yeah. So I love it to death, but it doesn't make the most fascinating. It is a pure cubicle job, mostly working from home these days, so that is a plus.
It's I used to think that the people who work
7,
that's
right?
great. People who work from home were slackers and all that fun stuff. And you know what? I woke up. I wasn't feeling 100% today. I called my boss. I said, is it okay if I work from home? I have plenty to do. And the next thing you know, I put in 9 hours from home. So they get an extra hour and a half out of me from working from home. And of course, I eat while I'm doing lunch. So, I get it now. But it's hard to kind of create space for working from home.
Yeah.
You have to.
There is a challenge to it. I was not ready to do it when I was young. I had a job right out of school that allowed me to work from home, and I found that meant not working.
Party from home is what that means.
So I stopped doing it. I actually declined the.
Ooh, bad drop. Bad drop.
The opportunity in that case because it wasn't. It didn't work. I couldn't do it. Didn't have the discipline.
David wants to know if you bartended the cubicle, but
no, it's not touching.
No, 6 points though.
6 points for it.
No. As a matter of fact, Dan has actually no bartending experience, much like a person with a mixology degree.
We're gonna ruin this.
You can go on the internet and you can get your mixology degree, and then we can say you're a certified mixologist.
Put it up behind the bar.
We can.
No, let's get back to gaming.
Funniest moment.
So your funniest moment from the show this year?
My funniest moment was TC Petty. When we hit on medium, because when it was aliens, I believe was the clue. It was just like we weren't there, and then all of a sudden it's just like click right into place, and that's happened both times we've played it. And I love that game absolutely, and I can't wait. Greater Than Games, awesome job picking that up. I'm excited to see what happens with it. But that moment, that was like literally like it's as close as I get to a Rudy moment in gaming. I knew it. That was
when the music
mine.
swells. It was tremendous.
It was. And if I edited it better, there would have been swelling music. Yours? What was yours?
Yeah. Funniest is tough. We have a lot of laughs in the show. So there is. Go ahead and do something with Blue. I will cheat. And there was an early draft of the show notes that included. Ooh, wow, that
nice.
Stood right on there, just the way you drew it up.
So 10 points.
Yeah, agreed. So I can turn mine into most fun. It was awesome having Matt Morgan right here as an in-studio guest.
Yeah.
Because
that was like the first time. Well, you weren't here the day that Chris Miller came down.
Yeah.
And so that was like the first time we'd had somebody in studio. And it's a lot of fun, isn't it? I mean, the vibe and the gist, and it's funny because we had a few things planned with Matt. Like we were even thinking of doing a gamers in cars getting cupcakes kind of riff.
I'd forgotten about that actually.
yes. I had a GoPro set in the car ready to go if he was game. But I was gonna go get cupcakes with Matt Morgan, but in the end, we both had a drink or two, and it decided in the better interest of not dying, hurting anybody, ourselves, or breaking the law, that was not a good idea. especially to catch it.
But it was fun. So both the show was fun and had a nice
that's your call if that's 7 or 6.
I mean, it's clearly on the line. It's not poking through into the section. Is the line?
Yeah,
I don't know what the rules read. So I don't know how that's supposed to be scored.
It has to be over.
So we'll say 6 because
right.
it does not protrude into the 7
nope.
zone. So
that's that's fine. And we sat at this very table.
It was a great vibe both there, and then yes, it was the first time for me. Now I know you guys had done some previous live gaming events, wits and wagers at this table, but this was the first time I got to sit down with the guest and play. We played a game of Decrypto here, which I'm a big fan of. The Decrypto was a
you were trying to get us to play that for a while, but I just couldn't make it work outside.
Some technical challenges when we're not in the same room. I think we'll revisit that in 2019 and figure out the way
we're adding. I'm giving you the game topper to play on. If we're gonna stay on brand here, people, I'm giving you the topper to play on so that way you can. You now have physical space to work in and play your game. So I'm not restricting you to just make something up this week, Dan.
Yeah. Well, we've stuck to what were essentially radio games, to a large extent.
And you've done really well. Actually, if I would argue, if I go back and revisit one of my favorite moments, yes, it's getting guests, but also it's the fact that you bring the games you bring are very poignant. They're on point for the guest. Most recently the draft mechanic, you turn the table on the guest and you're like, no, we're gonna turn this table on you. Or with Matthew Jude, it was that's a lot of fun when we get to kind of flip it on their head. And the best part is that's exactly what I would want, and I don't even have to ask for it. You just do it, so there you go. I guess we're drinking enough beer where I'll be nice. Oh, so Patrick goes, Glenn seems like a lot of fun. So the secret story to Glenn Flaherty's episode, number 1 is that I received texts from Glenn at all hours of the day. It's hysterical. But Dan was not here for Glenn.
Yeah.
And I think he's very grateful for that fact. Because the game I played with Glenn went for 4 hours. I'm not kidding. 4 hours. It set a record. It was hysterical. Like him and I just... it's a little easy to drink when you're in the basement. I'd kind of be a little scared if I ever had an off-site studio. I think it better be walking distance. But I can still get a drunken disorderly walking just as well. So it's tough to say, but he is he's a lot of fun. I'm trying to recruit him for the anniversary special. Can't do that. Besides, it's Blues tournament. I'm gonna have to. Not even. It's only 8 points. Nope.
So I think that's better than Green's likely to do in the final drop here, because there's this side sabotaging me from playing Green, and then there's these circles all that want me to.
Yeah. The other thing is
this is going to be
the slope is kind of. It's intriguing, isn't it? It kind of throws another element. See,
it's also the diagonal lines on the board make it tough to read the slope. There's an optical illusion happening with how exactly. This is going to score 0 points. There's no place where this could land.
It might land here and not touch,
and also not touch the side.
It's impossible. That is impossible.
There's no spot where this could save.
Circle does not get the square, sir. You know what though? If I had one dream, if you want to talk about dream big for the show, I want Hollywood squares on Game All Night. I want to be John Davidson, and I want to do 9 boxes with people in each one. It would be a nightmare. It'd be a nightmare technically, but I think it would be amazing.
Let's make this a 2020 goal.
There you go.
Setting
that's the stretch goal.
Like
right after the you get me on the Dice Tower cruise with to Alaska, then I'll do that.
Oh, I did not. I thought this red square was going to sabotage the heck out of that.
What do you think? That's touching that corner, right?
Yep, they're touching. There's contact, which we didn't even see possible to me. I thought
nope.
That was not the one I thought
the green circle was going to help it.
Well, it's okay. This is not going to score any points.
So that was my best moment and funniest. So,
we were on to funniest moments, and there was something I forget now. The thought is lost. There was
the thought is lost.
There was another fun and funny moment that I was going to throw out, but
all right. Well, you can come back to it. So, what was your biggest surprise?
So this is there's a recency bias happening here, but taking a all right. So the playing. I don't even know what we named the game. We played a movie trailer style game.
I remember this because I want to.
Summerer,
I want to make
your idea, and that was not one of the games that was my vision for the thing. Both you and I were, uncomfortable at best in this. And
hold on,
sure thing. And Eric. Ran with it to a remarkable extent. That Eric's embrace of the notion and preparation, like to on the fly. By the way, so we did not. What you see is what you got. So we did
never
not
do that with our guests.
Correct.
I have to say,
I often blindside you with the game, let alone the guest. So the guest is hearing about it for the first time in the break immediately prior to filming.
Right.
And so he had only the 2 minutes or so right then to sketch some notes, and then turned it into what you would have thought was a professional production. So his ability to deliver.
And I'll be honest with you, we do post edit, so there is some amount of dead air that I will remove. But Eric was a pro; there was no dead air to take away. And the game, which I hope to release on Kickstarter at some point, in a world,
that's in right. a world, that is what we ended up naming that.
No, that was oh man, it's hard when you come up with like favorite moments. My favorite moment was it was this is a business of awkward. And catching awkward on camera is a lot of fun. And I think the funniest moment and the most surprising kind of funniest thing that I had happen to me was when I was talking to Eric Buscemi, and we were talking about Origins. And he was talking about this meetup that happened, and it was a bring your own bottle meetup, and this guy showed up, and his pants were undone. Like, the story changes every time I talk to him, because I swear he came out with no pants the first time he told the story. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what night was this? And if you watch the video, I left it in. I'm like, what night was this? And he's like, oh, it was Friday. And I'm like, good, because my event was on Wednesday or Thursday. It was on Thursday. And no, it turns out later that we actually found out that was somebody from our event that ended up rushing in,
staggering into.
And you know what? See, that's why I need to be free to have fun, I guess. That's how we'll say it. Free to have fun. But I enjoy that. But the surprise moment. When was a moment you were actually like surprised by?
You don't accept my answer of Eric's off the cuff performance as being surprising. I mean, in retrospect, I suppose not. That he was. I was surprised at the time the degree to which that delivered. So that is where it was my answer for it. But I have other surprising moments.
Was there another one that was surprising?
This was the recency bias I was going to mention earlier. When our interview with Ambi, which is the last show here of the year, suddenly turned into a whole aside about speed cubing. which I had recently tried to get my own crew into. So I have just been learning my first forays into the speed cubing world, which does not involve much speed at my stage of development. And then here we are talking to Ambi, thinking it's going to be all 18xx and Disney trivia and musicals, and then suddenly we're talking about speed cubing, which it turns out is where she met her husband.
Yes.
Which was the insight we had into that, or the inroads we had into a whole discussion about.
That was definitely a surprising moment.
Her record time of 15 seconds.
Yeah, that was impressive. I was yeah. Well, watch the episode, you'll see that I'm kind of in awe and dumbstruck. So, all right. So, what is, if you were to pick one aspect of the show or a guest or a moment, what is something you would love to see us try to repeat in the future? I did notes, people.
Yeah, very late show.
I know. I know.
Late
Well,
show
we're moving on to 19 after this. This is the last one.
Undisputed single pointer.
2, 3.
Oh! I forgot the little bonuses there. That's slick. Nicely done.
Yes.
This could go horribly wrong, but we'll try to sneak one in. Nope. See the violence. Look at the
I know.
The yellow ended up way over here. How did that even? That's nonsense.
Whoa.
Bounce. So moments we wanted to repeat. I mean, there's many.
What was the genie you want to put in the bottle? And if you were to strip away everything from the show, which is not happening, that's not what we're doing here. What's the one thing that you want to keep and say this nugget's got to stay?
Well, hit me with yours, so I have a sense of where of the vibe we're looking for here.
So I kind of would argue that the thing that I'm looking to keep is exactly what you were saying about the game. It's the fact that we kind of come in. I prepare a guest a lot as far as I try to let them know what they're in for and what the show's about, but striving to get them very comfortable is the key, right? Like, I really want that to be huge. So I really try to think, like, getting that guest comfortable and getting that conversation genuine is going to be the one thing that I want to keep, because it's the easiest thing to get rid of. It's the easiest thing to say, like, no, I need to go and research a guest and do the whole, like 20 questions, or be the Larry King, or be a complete goofball and ask canned questions. Our guests don't know any of the questions I ask, and that's for a reason, because I want to see where conversation takes us. It's not so much an interview as it is a conversation. So that's what I want to see continue, that genuineness of the interview. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And let's note how challenging what you're talking about is. If we look at the challenge you're presenting yourself, the late night talk shows that you're modeling this on aren't doing that. They're attempting to feign that or create that illusion on the air, but realistically, the entirety of the conversation, every anecdote the guest is going to tell is hammered out ahead of time.
Yeah, it's completely canned. It's timed, and it's
right. And then the host just has to provide a setup to go into the anecdote you came prepared with. Right. So the number of talk shows that are doing honest conversations are few and precious because it's a hard thing to do. You need to go with an inside the actors studio layout. Late night talk show.
There is a outline somewhere of the show when I was formulating that literally ended with me asking 7 questions a la Bernard Pivot and James Lipton of whoever the guest was, and I bailed instantly So inspirations for the show would be, really, it's the Chris Hardwick, and I know that might be a.
No, anyway,
it comes with its own set. Yes, exactly. But I love the Nerdist, and I love his style of interviewing, and that he just sat down. He sat down with people on junkets and just had conversations, and then all of a sudden at the end go, hey, wait, we have to talk about your movie that's coming out because the publicist behind me is yelling at me about it. So, like, and his Harrison Ford moment was my Jamie Stegmaier moment at episode 9. It was that awkward, I'm out of my depth. And to my point was, on my note cards, was to ask Jamie Stegmaier about how he felt about this other guy developing My Little Scythe. And I'll tell the story 28 times till Sunday. But then, like, literally 2 days later is when he dropped news that he was actually publishing My Little Scythe. So, like, it would have been perfect timing, but because I was flustered and kind of out of my depth a little bit and not comfortable in my shoes, which after 41, I don't think I'm 100% there, but I'm a lot better than I was, and it's difficult, but it's I love the challenge of this. This is a lot of fun.
So David, what is putting in a plug? We were talking about some of the games and things we were going to repeat, and he came in with the social game. I'm assuming that's a reference to Fiasco. Oh, it decided to come.
Yeah, it did. Itself yeah, that was So I love Fiasco. Fiasco was a lot of fun, David. I agree. That was one of the highlights. Back when I had a ton of time and I could rope people in. It's certainly on the yeah.
That was poorly thought out.
It happens, especially when you've had a beverage.
It's Scotch or 4.
But that's actually Fiasco by Bully Pit Publishing, and that is an amazing game.
So, for anyone who didn't catch that episode or isn't familiar with Fiasco, the setup is it's quote unquote a role playing game, except that it's a collaborative construct. Everyone is the dungeon master in Fiasco. So go ahead and give the elevator pitch.
Fiasco is it's not so much a role playing game as it is an acting game, I would argue. So it's not about, like, you're thrust into this situation. It's you're an actor and you're thrust into this scene. You need to act this and act it out. So it's almost like a 2-level kind of RPG. It's very strange. Like, you don't have stats. You don't have. Yeah.
How did that even?
You need the slow-mo play on that one. But the awesome thing about Fiasco is that there's dice driven, so it helps focus your choices. It doesn't randomize them as much as it helps you kind of choose. If you're just left to choose from this list, you'll be here all day just kind of setting up. But if you can choose from these dice and you can get to the game in a much faster pace, it works a lot better. And Fiasco is kind of the ultimate one-off, if I would go as bold. Be as bold as to say that. I don't play a ton of RPGs, but I think it's the ultimate one-off because I think you can get really invested in a character really fast. You can instantly put yourself outside of yourself in Fiasco more so than you can in RPG. I think that, like, I played Fog of Love with my wife, and it was even hard for her to get into that character. And it's a very thin veil. But with Fiasco, because you're acting as an actor doing a part, and you have a director, and maybe you're an NPC, maybe, and you can hop in at any time, I think the freedoms that it gives you kind of helps confine the play space. So I think it focuses it a lot better. And the play sets, don't get me started on it, on the variety, the fun, and all the things that can come with Fiasco. But there is one thing that Fiasco has, and that is that it has what's called the tilt. And this is something that, a lot of RPGs try to do. They ramp the tension. Dread, my favorite RPG kind of system, kind of ramps that tension with the tower. But this does it at the tilt. So halfway through, you roll dice, and depending on how you did and how you acted, what happened to your character, man, my character in that game, I was trying to be the altruistic guy. It was not happening. Like, no, it was like everything that happened to this guy, it was just horrible. And I kind of feel that that's Fiasco is a Coen Brothers movie brought to life.
Nice.
There you go.
There's your elevator pitch. We got there by the end.
Yes,
so needless
I
to
get
say,
there eventually. Eventually, Dan.
Needless to say, David, you're not the only one with an unbridled enthusiasm for Fiasco. So I think we will see more of that in 2019. It has to be a. Oh no, it's in the air. It's not touching. You're safe. You're golden.
Yellow's doing good.
I have no. You switched your. I see. You switched your order between your two
I'm yellow,
sides.
blue.
I see. We're still green. We stayed. I kept my order. You flopped.
Yeah,
it's just I figured that out just now. By the way, the third round of the game, I finally caught on to the fact that, that you would switch.
Fiasco was something I really tried to make a regular thing, but it was hard with the recording schedule. I'm not gonna lie, and hopefully with what we're doing this year, which is about what we're about to get into, with changing to the every other week format for the main show, I think it will give us a lot more time to do a lot more quote unquote fun things, different things, be a little more flexible, and also add value to the main show at the same time.
So we should definitely start talking at some point before we finish this game about 2019.
Boo.
Yep.
Boo. So where we want to go, so briefly, we want to continue the show. We want to continue to get guests. We want to continue to grow. We really want to interact more with the audience. That was always the goal from the start, was to interact with the audience, but part of the problem was I tried so much interaction at the beginning, with the game all night shelfie, with the top 5 countdowns, things like that. It's kind of hard to do when you only have X amount of people contributing and playing along at home. So hopefully, as the number of you all grow, and it already has, and the interaction we get, we can maybe bring some of those back on a limited basis. So interaction's a key. I'd also like to get our main show down below like 45 minutes. And the big change is going to be moving the game to the off week. So what do you think, Mr. Dan, about us shifting? Wow, you've already used all your red circles. Really interesting.
I have no idea what's going
on. Fail whale. What do you think about breaking the show up into its 2 components? What do you think that's going to bring? I know what it's going to bring. It was my idea.
No one knows what it's going to bring. We can only hope. We can only have dreams. I also used. Here's my other green triangle. It's sitting here, being ornamentation.
It is. It is.
I am hopeful that it is going to be 100% a positive for the game segment itself. So I think that giving the game a little bit of room to breathe will let us do things that more closely, resemble what we're doing right now, which is, we don't have to curtail tangential conversations that branch off while we're playing the game, that we can embrace that we can turn it into more of an event of its own, that we can play things that are a little longer form, because that's always been a constraint on selecting the game too, is making sure it's something that will play in the right time frame. And so I think that the game segment will become. Oh, actually, Didn't realize
Oh, yeah, you got the corner.
Nice. Snuck into that bonus zone, which has not been kind of it. It was not a big part of my game in the first
Change my game a little bit. Let's see if I can drive this down.
Oh, just a spike that'll drill right through that?
Oh! And I didn't even get that one. That's what you get.
It is legal, though. It is points. It is 4. So I am excited for the change to the game format. I think it will let us do some cool things in that segment by itself.
Right, and so we mentioned earlier that we kind of took like what ended up being a 3-week hiatus, and why we're doing that is really just kind of to it's really hard to hi BJ, how you doing? Nope. It's really hard to kind of get people to interview over the holidays, so we're going to we're taking the break as perfect timing, because like this is when talk shows take breaks and things like that. Gives us a chance to retool the show a little bit, make new sets, quote unquote, on the computer. They're not physically changing any sets, so it's been a nice way to kind of do that stuff. But I think you're right. I think splitting the show and kind of focusing on the interview and then focusing on the game is going to be a very good move. I mean, a lot of my restrictions are very self-imposed, and I really wanted to have be out every week, and I wanted to have unique guests every week, and I didn't want to repeat anybody. And, that was my first year goal. And guess what? We're at the end of the first year, more or less. We're going to call 18 the year. And we did that. And that's awesome. Well, what's really cool is now we can start to have some favorites back on. And I think that there's a lot of interviews I want to continue. I want to find out more. I want another shot at other people again. And of course, we're going to keep bringing new guests on. So I think it's going to be exciting. We're going to keep the format the same. We're just splitting it into 2. So we'll, I think that's going to be an amazing part. Whoa. Ooh, yellow's crumbling here. Crumbling.
Patrick delivering another pun for us here.
Oh no. Yes. Yeah. Well, I
can see the Risk wall behind us.
Yes. Fun fact: before I really started gaming, this wall had 6 copies of Risk boards on it. Actually, once upon a time, because that was the game I used to play with the family, the father, the brother. It really boiled down into who loved Dad the most and could get him to flip on the other. But it was
King Lear in the Whitpan household.
It kind of was. I'm not ashamed.
Cordelia's gonna lose every time.
Oh,
came down and found the blue. You should have seen the demolition performed by that green square. That just. And I completely reshaped the map.
I'm really sorry that BJ from Board Game Bubba and I were trying to hook up when I was down in New Orleans for the one day, Nolans, as it were. Unfortunately, it did not happen. Nope. But yeah, that sign actually came from the French Quarter down at the market when I was down there the first time. But, all right. Let's see.
All right. This usually happens off camera. The second segment.
5, 6.
Nice work.
So the show is essentially not changing. We're just splitting it and slowing it down, which will hopefully allow us some time to do a little more fun things in post and with the game, and open up the interviews a little bit more. I even envision going, a little bit deeper into the lexicon of the late night show and having a little bit more of the vibe that kind of came from that. So I think that's going to be exciting. So for those of you joining us while Dan's getting ready, I figured out how to etch glass, which is kind of cool, I have to say. So I made a ton of barware. So if as long as you're commenting and you're in the comments or using the hashtag GAN2018 on Twitter, at the end of the show, we're going to randomly draw, pick, love somebody more than somebody else, and I will send them a glass, courtesy of us. So it's not much, but it houses our favorite beverage.
I say, I think it's it's the most important game accessory. Certainly tonight.
Absolutely. So we are on blue, are we?
Glenlivet 15 not included.
Ooh, is that what you gave me? We're drinking good tonight, people. All right. Let's go safe.
Success. That was delivered. Good for 5.
Absolutely. So
to red here. Is it Red's turn? Red's gonna have to pull out some kind of miracle to score. There's a lot of red up top, so I have to somehow avoid touching that side. It doesn't seem.
It is.
But look at that balancing act that just happened.
That was. It's kind of impressive. I'm kind of disappointed.
Needed some help.
So. The Ronald McDonald house in the center here. You're trying to build the. So I guess it kind of brings us full circle as to what are your kind of. You were not
double DQ.
You were not as stable as I thought.
You thought that I didn't know how that was staying there. There was no chance it was going to stick. All right. Can we just wedge right in there?
Unfortunately, David, I think that might be illegal in our draconian state of Pennsylvania. So sorry, it will not be filled.
That is illegal.
But
legal score, but only 5.
Only 5. So what are your kind of what are your hopes for the show in the coming year there, Mr. Dan? Boo.
What? Fun. Oh, you wanted more?
I wanted that. And I left it for you.
That 3-point, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to get a triangle that doesn't touch your triangle. That will take some doing.
Oh.
No good.
No.
Oh. No, we are good.
You're safe. Wow. Wow. You need a 4K TV to know that red is safe from that yellow.
You can see light, but somehow, by some small miracle. All right, so
that 10. Is quite literally the hair of your chinny chin.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yes.
I couldn't wedge a mustache between those.
Does it make me look smart when I stroke it thusly? Where did that quote come from? All right, so safe move for yellow. Wow, that's a neck and neck game. So we are sitting at 19, 19,
no
18,
one can see
and
the
17.
Scoreboard on the.
They usually don't need to. Trust me, they're not missing anything.
Nope.
Nope. That is not the miracle the last one was.
The squares are destructive. That's something I did not see coming into when you described the premise of the game. I did not realize that when you drop a square,
was that a fail in my my rules?
No, there was no capturing that. You had to see that in action and to understand it. Wow, I would not have guessed that would work that way. So take your 6. Be happy with it.
I'm going to take my 9.
Oh,
my 9.
Oh, when you were complaining, you had the audacity to gasp in pain there. And score 9.
Well, because I'll be honest, I thought it was going to end up peaking over that.
Now you're getting greedy.
Yes,
just greedy. All right, so I need this to somehow sit right up top, and there's just little chance that this will tidily. I don't think. Nope, didn't happen. Hopes and dreams for 2019 was a question.
Hopes and dreams, it was.
Caught up in how awful.
Well, that was, we're kind of coming to a climax.
Oh, dear. Let's do that again.
Climax? Wow.
There's no B in that
word. Well, I was writing Blake and BJ and climax at the same time, and apparently it did not come out well. So what were you going to say? What is the one thing at the end, when we have this conversation next year, what is the one thing that you would love to be able to say?
I mean, it's very humble, but more of the same. I look forward to. I am very excited, frankly, to start having repeat guests, in the sense that I think many of our conversations ended with plenty left on the table. There's much more to talk about with Chris Kirkman and innumerable other guests that I would love to have back on. I look forward to the roster of guests for the new year too. So this is maybe not what you want out of this, but like I have a short list of folks that I'll keep it to ourselves right now. We'll see what comes to fruition.
We will.
But some of those folks coming on in the new year and continuing the conversation with some of the folks we've already talked to, that alone will be will make 2019 for me. That there's a great deal left to talk about.
All right, so I think that's pretty solid. I would just like to see. I love to see engagement, and I love to see people interacting. Like, one of my favorite things is when somebody asks a guest a question on YouTube and then they respond. I love to see, like, people get something out of the show or get a connection out of the show, and I just want to see more of that. I want to have more of those stories that kind of creep in and kind of show off a little bit, like, hey, I didn't know that, Eric Sommer narrated all these audiobooks, and I found my next favorite book because of that. Or,
if you were looking for audiobook recommendations, definitely rewatch that episode, because there were a dozen, I think, by the end of it, of very strong recommendations.
Yep. And I will say I'm enjoying the Jason Crane series right now. But
it all an extra and unexpected payoff from the show. See, you didn't think that was going to.
Yeah. Well, I'm paying for the book. It's not free.
And so to wit, we ought to do more live events like this, because having the opportunity to interact with everyone right now has been delayed.
It was there. It hung. Wow, I'm glad that's on tape somewhere.
That was funny. Okay.
So yeah, I would love to do this like once a month at least. Like, we can kind of sit down if we have a later recording or something like that. I think that would be a lot of fun. So very shortly, if you're in chat, if you're watching, feel free to leave a comment in the chat or do something on Twitter. We're coming to the end here. We're on the last few pieces, but we're going to give away one of the glass etched Game All Night glasses to anybody who comments or uses the hashtag GAN 2018. Probably within the next 10 minutes or so, we'll do that as we kind of bring it in. If you're lurking, get out and participate, I guess is what I'm trying to tell you to do. All right,
just sneak in there with a something right at the end to qualify for the giveaway.
So that kind of leads me to...
Well, that's legal.
That is completely... 8. Didn't peak the 8, but it got the 7. 8.
Plus a bonus. Blue's the big score of this game, man.
Yeah.
So bringing the thunder.
So we're going to try with the game...
There's no way.
The games we're doing...
Over here in these,
yeah,
there's no
it's
way.
Tough.
There's no...
I don't know. I think you have to let it go. You can't, like, touch it. So just so you know, you can't. On top you may not do that. That is about one of the few things. No. But one thing we're going to try to do in the very near future is we want to get more guests to kind of interact and help with the show and do giveaways. So I think we're going to try and do that more with the game episodes. The main show with the interview, we're going to release that as a podcast, and that will be the podcast show. The games we're going to leave only on the YouTubes, and that'll strictly be a video show.
They translate poorly.
Yeah,
most
and
of
honestly,
the time to an audio.
Exactly, and half the time I take it out and I cut it. So I think it'll make a lot more sense to just kind of do that its own thing, and we'll do the giveaways during that show, and I'm not going to make anybody jump through hoops. It'll be comments or hashtags will be the only two keys for entering giveaways, and then we'll try and give them away in the next week. And we'll try and get them from publishers and things like that. And in case I don't, then maybe you'll get some nice Game-O-Much swag that you can bring to the next meetup or have at your house. And next time you have a nice beverage, we'll come up with something. But we're going to try and do that every week. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So it looks like the blue-yellow combination was deadly this time.
Congratulations, sir.
Big old thing. Push at the end. So what did you think? What do you like?
Drop It's a ton of fun.
Right?
I think this would be a good one for the family. I might need to pick this up myself.
I like it. I think it's a good time. So Mr. Dan, why don't you grab the D8 from over there? So last chance, if you're sitting in the audience and you'd like to participate,
we're going to be randomizing this live on.
I am totally. Yeah, I want to reward the people who participated. Thank you, Patrick. Real quick, I think it's important, and I'm pretty sure I have the new intro queued up. If not, you're going to just see the old intro.
Very exciting to come at the end of the show.
I know, but I'm gonna do the giveaway after this. But I want to see if Patrick's on the train or not. And I also shortened it, so it's only about 20 seconds of your life as opposed to 28.
You get that groovy music.
All right. All right. So we're going to be right back, and maybe there'll be some more drink in our glass. I don't know if we can make that happen in 20 seconds. But...
You're setting the high bar, Chris.
High bar. I see what you did there.
Ready,
all
right,
go.
Welcome to Game All Night.
The worst part is you don't get to see it. He didn't make it back. It finished first. Yeah, that yellow circle was not cool, BJ. Not cool. I should have scored it faster, I think, is the So what do you think, Patrick? Do you think do you like that? The little you didn't get to see it. I'll show you after the show. I make Dan work. He's got to work once a night.
Well, when it's the kind of work that results in me having bourbon in my glass when I return, that's not so bad.
Fair enough. So what are we finishing on?
Buffalo Trace, because that is one of my standbys and regulars. I always have Buffalo Trace in the cabinet at home, so right. So a little bourbon,
awesome,
to round out the evening.
So would you like to roll away and let's see who won? So I have the list here.
So is this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 1 through 4?
Kind of, sort of. There's one number in there that will not be a valid number because I've only had 7 total responses.
Okay.
All right. So there's one number that will not be a response, and of course it's going to be the first number you roll. Natural. And it's an 8. Guess what number it was?
All right. So everyone can see.
It was an 8.
The 8 there, natural. So by the way, this has made me very popular at the craps table, by the way.
Really?
Hard
8? If you're rolling an 8-sided die, you're cheating.
No, so what the camera may not have captured is that I cleared the rail on the far side of the game topper. And when you do that twice in a row at the craps table, the pit boss starts to get a little annoyed at you, as though you're trying to pull something.
Somebody else is on the other side catching. That's what it is. They have to reset the dice every time you do that.
When you're sufficiently drunk, they figure out that you didn't mean to do it, and you're just a dope. But they don't love it even so. All right, how about a 7?
7 is actually...
hard 7.
Hard 7. Yeah, by the way, that's not good in craps. Well, it's good if you're playing the
Depends when you're rolling.
But that actually is BJ from Board Game Gumbo. Actually, is our number 7.
Congratulations, sir.
So BJ, if you want to hit me up, just shoot me your address, and I will get you. You have your choice of I can do a high ball or I can do a low ball. It's your choice. I can give you either one. Unfortunately, I don't have any pints. I have just one, and I drink a heck of a lot of beer, so that's not going anywhere. So tell me your preference, send me what you'd like, and I'll get that out to you. So that's I think that's going to wrap us up. This has been a lot of fun.
I have enjoyed myself. I look forward to more live streams in the future.
Awesome. So yeah, this is something I think we'll try and do a little more on the regular, and like it'll probably be Thursday evenings because I think that's
an easy recording time for us.
It works. Low ball. I heard you, BJ. You got it. Low ball coming your way. Got to have something to wash down all them crawdads with, right? Right. So awesome. So that's it. You guys have any questions at all? Hit us up. But ultimately, that's what we're doing with the show. I think it's going to be great. I'm excited. It's slowing down for the right reasons. It's not just slowing down because I'm tired. It's slowing down to give us time to do more things.
Yeah, I think the show will benefit from the slowed recording schedule.
Absolutely. I want to do more bits. I want to have more fun. I already have a list of bits I want to try and get done. So, and I need time to record those. Let's be honest.
I should be worried, is what he's trying to tell me right now. In addition, so in terms of hitting us up, you're on all the social media. You're on the Facebook.
I am.
You're on Twitter, YouTube comments. Twitter is definitely the easiest way to get a hold of me. Yep. Bartender Dan.
Let's see. I think I still have yours up. There you go. Look at that.
Oh, I have a lower.
You do.
The bartender _ Dan at the Twitter link. Yep, that's where you want to hit me if you want comments from me. I will try to be 2019 goals. We're making New Year's resolutions here a little early, folks. More active on Twitter is definitely mine. I just made one. So if no one else is, there's one New Year's resolution for. I need to be more active on Twitter. That is the entirety of my social media commitment. You will not see me on Instagram or Facebook so I think I can handle stepping up Twitter a bit.
Absolutely. So my goals are just to be more. Wait, goals? When did this happen? I don't want goals. No, there are show goals, and the show goal is the resolutions. I'd say be more interactive, but I think I'm pretty interactive. I try to interact with people and answer questions and be upfront. I want more of the. When you buy an expansion, do you want the expansion that adds all new mechanisms and mechanics, or do you want the expansion that's more of the same?
What you love.
I'm more of the same. And that kind of reflects what I want to give. I want to give more of the show. I want to give better quality, better production. I want to give, more bits. I want to have more fun. And I think that's where it's headed.
I could spend an hour naming shows I like that season 2 was either when they hit their stride or even the peak. Hopefully it's not our peak, so I'll shoot for hitting their stride in season 2. I think almost everything I've ever enjoyed season 2 is when
I agree.
They finally like got all the pieces in place and hit it together. So I think our season 2 is going to be. I'm excited. I'm excited.
So season 2 begins January 10th with the man himself, the Don. Mr. Stephen Buonocore will be the first guest of 2019. Wow, I'm getting old.
We're going to make that mistake more than once in January.
That's it. Dan, do you have anything for the people?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Thank you for watching. Thank you, guys. Thanks, David. Thanks, Board Game Bumbo. I'm adding bees to everything. We better stop now.
You're flagged.
I'm in my own home. Just saying. So, thanks, everybody. Have a good night, and I'm going to leave you with our lovely outro, and that's it.
Well...